So hello to those of you who are here so far. I'm going to wait about one more minute. We're expecting quite a few more people to log in very quickly, and then I will get started with this webinar. I'm sorry if you can hear a dog barking in the background. That is my dog who's on the other side of the door. Hopefully you don't actually hear him. Okay, so today you are here for the webinar on Toolbox for an Efficient Dental Practice. As dentists, you're increasingly challenged with the duality of your career choice. You must continuously make choices based on quality but also efficiency so that you can deliver gold standard quality dental care while protecting your bottom line. This webinar will highlight some great options for you, tried and true by contributing dentists and consultants from around the U.S., all focused on the efficiency of your business. Remember that efficiency can deliver cost savings or time savings, and sometimes both. My name is Jill Crane-Carter, and I'm pleased to present to you today this one-hour CE webinar brought to you by Dental Ease. Please do not hesitate to type questions as you have them, and I will address them at the end of the presentation. You're also going to notice a lot of links on each slide. Feel free to look at those after the presentation. You're not going to be able to click on them during the presentation. I've also compiled a couple of slides in the end to give them all to you in 2 slides. You'll be able to go back and review this after the fact on the Dental Ease website, and you'll be able to check out all the links you want at that time. As well, you'll see my information here. You can feel free to contact me at any time after this webinar as well. It's my intention not to leave you feeling like this in the next 45 minutes or so. I hope that I can accommodate that. These are the topics we're going to be going over. These general areas are places where you can make changes to improve the efficiency of your business. Eco-dentistry, we're going to look at numbers, we're going to look at some cool stuff. We're going to touch on evidence-based dentistry, systems and methods, your team, and communication, leadership, and accountability. Eco-friendly dentistry. There are endless potential green efforts you can make in your business, like any business. You can even become a Green Doc certified business through ecodentistry.com. It's a leading entity in the green practice movement. Let me just say that the efficiency of going green often lies in its effectiveness as a marketing and PR tool in our current culture for bringing in new patients, while often actually costing you money and time in the process. But let's face it, disposables are cheaper, for instance, and less time-consuming sometimes. That said, here you see some interesting numbers courtesy of ecodentistry.com. Again, they're a resource for dentists on best practices in green dentistry, including their Green Doc Green Dental Office certification program I just mentioned. That program focuses on waste reduction, pollution prevention, and energy and water conservation, these things here. And if you're not convinced those things are important to think about or act on, look at these numbers here. Going digital is a huge time saver, and while costly, it actually delivers an impressive return on investment. It's also green. There's no film, no chemicals, no time spent developing film, only to realize you need retakes, no toxic waste collection issues, and no disposal fees. The DEXIS intraoral sensor delivers 16,000 shades of gray in their images. What's really cool is you only need one sensor to take all the images that you want. Dentists can improve their bottom lines by as much as $50,000 annually with things like energy-efficient lighting, steam sterilization, cloth infection control and sterilization methods. Face it, many hospitals still rely on reusable cloth products and steam sterilization, and there's a long list of reasons why. Digital imaging. Most dentists that I know are reporting return on investment within 6 months of going digital. So yes, it's costly, but you're going to earn your money back fast. Automate your practice. I'm amazed at how many practices I see out there that have still not automated. You can slowly incorporate the different models to practice management systems that allow you to further improve the efficiencies of an automated practice, including scheduling, benefits verification, claim submission, and more. Some of the multitude of benefits to automating include the saving of space and time, no lost charts, easy access even from home, no misfiled information, no file and paper nightmares like the one you're going to see happen right here. It dramatically reduces the use of paper, ink, copier costs, and all the aggravation that goes with that. And one of the cool things is that you can track the users. So this can be a very convenient feature for identifying who is in need of further clarification or assistance with clerical procedures, who's making the errors, so that it can be appropriately addressed. And we'll touch on that topic later in this presentation. Dana Johnson of Ray Dental Management Consulting, and I'm going to show her slide in a little bit. She's also a trainer for Dentrix Dental Practice Automation Systems, and she adds a list of benefits to consider for going paperless and chartless. And some of those things are that you can scan and store patient information into the record, like their license, their insurance card, the credit card they want to keep on file, things like that. You can import their image into their patient record so that anyone looking at their record from anywhere in the practice at any time is reminded who they are. You can use electronic forms and questionnaires with e-signatures. You can send electronic referrals to other providers, submit electronic claims, supporting documentation, and x-rays all electronically. And you can scan and store EOBs into their record as well. Further benefits of going paperless and chartless include the ability to automate email and text appointment reminders, to use text, Twitter, and Facebook posts to fill last-minute openings. I have a lot of practices doing that, and it's extremely successful. You can option access to a newsletter online, via email, Facebook, your website, or even an app. Now, my 73-year-old mother has an iPhone 5S. She uses email, Twitter, and Facebook and apps every day of her life, and she's not unusual anymore in her age bracket. But you're going to have some elderly patients, for instance, who do want to see things in a printed version or sign a printed version, and go ahead and accommodate that for them. But you'd be surprised how many people will take advantage of these things. So this is Dana Johnson, who I just referenced, and this is her contact information, her website, and again, she's a Dentrix trainer as well as a consultant. Feel free to contact her if you would like after this presentation. Sanitreat Green. It's a very cool thing. It cleans using enzymes and not caustic chemicals. It reduces downtime without those harsh chemicals. It's a good pre-soak for sterilization. It provides odor-free evacuation lines and traps if you use it every day. It's non-toxic, non-caustic, biodegradable, and it's excellent for cleaning your amalgamator. Now, surprisingly, about 50% of mercury-free practices out there aren't using an amalgamator. And I have to wonder, are they not removing any amalgam anymore? So please, I hope you're all using an amalgamator. And that's your best way to keep it clean. Do you have an ADA membership? So many dentists these days do not, especially the younger dentists, fresh out of school. They're really just not seeing the benefits. And I think a lot of we The older people in the dental arena need to encourage them to join this organization and to reap the benefits of it, and to also work to improve that organization and what it can do for its members. But your membership does have benefits, and one of them includes your VIP Link program, and that offers you discounts, purchase and delivery installation assistance, and incentives for Energy Star high-efficiency rated appliances for both your office and your home. So going green, it's really not so difficult. Kermit would argue, but it's really not that difficult to be green. So now we're going to talk a little bit about numbers. In your front office, now this is not to suggest a way to replace front office people. It's an addition to your front office management, and it's a very effective tool. Consider looking into a virtual administrative support service like, for instance, dentalsupportspecialties.com, which I'm going to show you their information soon. They'll cover you in lunch hour and when your office is otherwise closed. Why do we want to consider that? Consider this. Voicemail does not warmly welcome. It does not schedule or reschedule. It does not intercept cancellations, confirm appointments, call on past due accounts, or recare or undone treatment. And it doesn't answer account questions or tenderly route emergency care. This is very much a growing trend in practices, dental, medical, and all kinds, because it's highly beneficial. The particular service that I'm referencing here is dentalsupportspecialties.com. This is owner Mary Beth Bajornis. Her business provides invaluable administrative resources. They're outsourcing for maximum efficiency. They provide many other services as well, and it's all on their website. Some more on numbers. You are not a bank. Make it understood that prepayment in full for fee-for-service, or patient portion if they're insured and you take their insurance, is due when the patient arrives before the appointment. This should be understood from the time the appointment was scheduled and from the financial policy statement that the patient has read and signed. Ideally, a fee-for-service business collects 100% of that fee at the time of scheduling the appointment, but should be no less than 45 to 55% upfront when the patient arrives for the appointment, not after the appointment. Train the patients on your policy by not wavering on your policy. Create separate payment types in your system for OTC cash, credit card, and check so that you can easily track these numbers. Remember, your money is worth much more today than 30 days from now, or 60, or 90, or 120. I don't even want to think about past that. Now let's think about new patients. How many new patients do you average monthly, quarterly, annually? But more important, how many patients are leaving monthly, quarterly, and annually? If you combine those numbers, you have your net new patients, and that's what matters. You want to know why they're leaving. Somebody needs to make that exit phone call. Maybe they haven't actually left your practice, but maybe they did. You need not to be afraid if they're still not rescheduling to ask, may I ask why you're hesitant to return for continued care? Prevent further loss by really listening to their answers, and meanwhile accept that some patients are better off elsewhere. Now we're going to talk about hygiene when it comes to numbers. Hygiene is the most inefficient area in most dental businesses, in that most are not producing near the amount of business that they could. According to the CDC, 1 in 2 adults has periodontal disease. So how many adults in your practice have been diagnosed? What percentage? How many of them are being treated? What percentage? And how many of them are being treated in-house, not being referred out to the periodontist down the street? Now, it's different if they need periosurgery and you don't want to go there. That's different. Now, let's consider that you've got 2 hygienists in your practice with 2,000 active patients in regular care. Let's say that your hygiene diagnoses 10%, just 10% of your adult patients with perio. Well, that's 200 patients diagnosed. That's 250 for quad scaling and root planing, 150 for perio maintenance, 220,000 potential additional dollars in income annually. Now let's say only half of those diagnosed accept the treatment plan. You're still ahead 110,000 in a conservative cost region, with only 10% being diagnosed and only half of them accepting a treatment plan. Now add in these extra things here and think about the money you could be losing by not improving your hygiene department. This first link here, wait a minute, sorry about that. Okay, so hygiene, we're going to consider you've got 2 full-time hygienists per 1 full-time dentist. We're going to consider that they're doing 6-point perio charting. 6-point periodontal charting will identify the 1 and 2 adults who have perio disease. It'll significantly increase the amount of non-surgical periotherapies and significantly transform your hygiene department into a moneymaker. And more importantly, it's going to improve the overall health and systemic health of your patients in the long run. Implementing this practice will create an indispensable quality of care and a difficult-to-match profitability guarantee. So if they're doing a 6-point perio charting, great. But how effective are your hygienists in educating patients on the progression and the effects of periodontal disease on their teeth and bone structure, not to mention educating them on the oral systemic link? I'm sorry, I'm getting a cold and it's making it hard to speak a little bit. So the oral systemic link, we always knew this, but the average patient is really just now beginning to understand this, and we need to be educating them. Now this first link here, that's the link to the CDC study that I've referenced. And the second one is an interesting read on the impact of dental hygienists on the solo practice, which is still the #1 dental business model in America. Let's not leave this to Dr. Oz. Please educate your patients every visit on the oral systemic link. Perhaps every month, you and your hygiene department pick a different link to discuss with each patient that you see. Just do it before Dr. Oz messes it up, because you know he will. So now we're going to talk about EFDAs. For those of you in states where you can utilize them, this is another huge, efficient money-making tool that too many of you who can are not taking advantage of. EFDAs will increase production 25 to 50% with just a 2-to-1 ratio. They'll increase production by as much as 70% with a 3-to-1 ratio, if used to the full scope of their license in some states. And to help clarify this, think about the orthodontist setup. They maximize the use of multiple assistants to keep multiple patients in the chair at a time. The second link here is a study that examined the impact of EFDAs on productivity. In the end result, practices delegating to EFDAs at a much lower cost per hour than you have a much higher productivity, period. And in both models of this study, simply increasing the assistant to dentist ratio was the most important driver for increasing productivity. Again, think orthodontics. Now we're going to talk about some cool stuff. And this is brought to you by Cool Dental Peeps and Dental Marketing Project. There are 2 popular groups in Facebook. I recently asked the gang in these groups to share what adds to their efficiency day to day in their practices. And here's a sample of some things that they talked about. The AlTouch utility room monitoring system. This gives you a worry-free utility room. The basic control panel employs a traditional pressure switch and contactor arrangement to control the cycling of compressor heads. It's equipped with switches to isolate or turn off individual heads. The Smart Control platform features head isolation, current sensing, which is your amperage draw, maintenance reminders, fault notifications, and average drain and recharge time. It even features a 7-day calendar for scheduling auxiliary items such as lights, music, coffee pots, and things like that. And it comes with 4, 8, or a 16-port option. Magnification. While many technologies have made the practice of dentistry simpler and more efficient, most have not actually altered the way in which you practice dentistry. And then there's magnification. Save your eyes, save your neck and back, save your schedule, and get some loops. Start with a low mag of 2.5 to 2.75. The low mag provides the largest depth of field, so they're the easiest to adjust to. The second link here is a good read on the introduction of loops into your practice. The guy is really honest about some of the challenges and how to overcome them and how great it is in the end. Dr. Michael Barr in Boynton, Florida, swears by this tool, as do many providers I know. The iSolite isolates the maxillary mandibular quadrant simultaneously, and it maintains a dry and contaminant-free field. It offers continuous hands-free aspiration. It all but eliminates stopping for spitting and swallowing, and it allows 20 to 50% faster procedures, almost all procedures. Now, the iSolite link here, there's a list of procedures that can be done using this tool and the estimates of time saved for those procedures. The time saved estimates are very realistic, if not conservative. The Dental Warrior link here, that's Dr. Michael Barr's link, his blog. It shows pictures of iSolite in use and a detailed assessment by Dr. Michael Barr. The third link is a frank discussion of iSolite versus the rubber dam by Drs. Wall and Andrews. That's Dr. Michael Barr on the right from Palm Beach Smiles in Boynton, Beach, Florida. He's demonstrating for his orthodontist one of his favorite tools, the Optrogate. It comes in 2 sizes, adult, regular, and small, and the small can be utilized by most children. It's latex-free, it gently and completely retracts lips and cheeks, and enlarges the treatment field effectively and comfortably. The bottom line here is a larger treatment field and a comfortable patient improves procedure times dramatically. Now, when we were talking about efficient things that we like in the groups and people were chiming in, Dr. Rick DePaul of Cleveland, Ohio offered his suggestion, showing the photo here on the left. He emphasizes that that is not him in the photo. So just an FYI, here's Dr. Barr's contact information. This is his website. This is his blog. Very worth your while to read. The man is extremely informative and very honest, and he's just a wealth of information. He also is a wealth of information on marketing. He's written books. He's got this blog here going on marketing. He's excellent with websites. He's just an incredible wealth of information. So check those out when you have time. Microscopes and magnification. Dr. Patrick Wall in Wilmington, Delaware swears by the use of a microscope. It offers brilliant lighting equal to iSolite, which is what we just discussed 2 slides ago. It's a microscope, so the magnification options are permanently built in. Over time, you're going to need higher magnification if you're using loupes, for instance, though many do use their initial choice in magnification for many years until their eyes simply begin to need more assistance in general, like those of us who live in our reading glasses. This tool also, for instance, this particular one, it can be ceiling mounted or it can be on wheels so that you can move it from operatory to operatory. And that's Dr. Wall in Wilmington, Delaware, and he's sitting here with his, I think Siler microscope is the one that he uses. He was on the tour circuit for a number of years lecturing on practice management, but he's back in practice these days doing endodontics in his brother's general practice. So now we're going to talk about intraoral camera wands. Now, in all honesty, they have two purposes, educational and sales. And here's some things you need to know. Optics define the quality of the camera and the images. Optics at the end of the wand versus in the middle where you want them result in decreased image quality due to increased image artifacts. Artifacts are just the imperfections in the image that affect image quality overall, and they can be especially troublesome for diagnostics. But for education and sales, they're really not a huge deal. So read up on artifacts before you talk to a sales rep so that they don't talk you into digital camera wands. Generally speaking, digital doesn't mean better with this technology. Analog is common, and it's fine for the purposes intended, which again are education and sales, which result in more treatment plan acceptance. More about the wands. You should really have one in every room, hygiene, and operatories. They offer real-time color images. The patient can see clearly exactly what you're talking about. You can print and give them pictures to take home. Your treatment plan acceptance rate is going to increase, and they will pay for themselves in a month. I don't think I know a practice that can't agree with that statement, those that are using them. So the Everlight. This is a really, really cool light. It's by Dental Ease, and it's cool, it's quiet, and it's environmentally friendly. It offers true light, which means it's going to have no yellow overcast to what you're seeing, which can negatively affect your color choices. It has 100% true direct LED technology, long bulb life, 30,000 plus hours to the bulbs, 10 times longer than halogen bulbs. It uses 70% less electricity than halogen, and it eliminates the expensive halogen bulbs from your budget. Go digital. It's easy, it's fast, it sells treatment plans. You can print the x-rays quickly and circle decay and other issues. I mean, this is what you're giving them, and you can draw right on them. You can mark bone loss and mark where the bone should be. You can note the musts, the shoulds, and the coulds for a treatment plan. You can map out a plan by quadrant while viewing the problems with the patient in the chair. And you can attach the images to the proposed treatment plan that you send home with the patient. Again, very effective for selling a treatment plan. Because crap happens. Even in places where crap never happens. Think Hurricane Sandy, think the flooding in New England last winter, think the snow in Connecticut last winter. Have a generator. Think of how much you'll lose if you're down for just 1/2 of a day. Evidence-based dentistry. I added this just specifically for Dr. P out here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. He said he just loves to talk about evidence-based dentistry, all the clinical stuff. I was just kidding. I'm really not going to go there. I think we all understand quite well the efficiencies attached to doing something once by doing it right the first time. So let's talk about systems and methods. Financial policies. Yep, we're there again. Do you have one? Are you having patients sign it? Do you uphold the policy? Do you collect patient portions in full prior to service, or better yet, at the time of scheduling? More and more practices are doing this. It sounds harsh, but it's so effective, and it's just a matter of training your patients. How many of you have looked at the cost of collecting those payments after the fact? The lesson here, you are not a creditor. Just like we said before, you're not a bank. If you're an online person, you spend time in Dental Town or the Facebook groups, you've seen this. We all know that chasing down accounts receivable is no fun, and we all know that ain't nobody got time for that. And speaking of time, we're into time management. Be honest with yourself. Know how long a procedure takes you. There's your time, and there's the assistant time. which includes OSHA-regulated disinfection of the operatory, lab work, and sterilization between patients, which takes 5 to 7 minutes to do properly. Spend a good 2 weeks doing a time audit. Be honest with yourselves, and you'll be able to make the appropriate changes in the schedule. Your staff will be happier, and so will your patients. Time management and your hygiene department. Now, you're going to break your hygiene into new hygiene patients and return hygiene patients. And the trend is definitely changing these days on how you do this. New hygiene patient is pretty clear-cut. You do history, education, and an eval only at the first appointment. That's it. That's the current training protocol for good reason. You have them return for cleaning, reviewing x-rays, and treatment planning. And I'm sorry, I have this over here. It should be over here. When they return, or any return hygiene appointment, you do a medical history update, you do their home care evaluation, oral cancer, perio, and restorative screenings, including your intraoral camera pictures with key images printed, appropriate x-rays printed, marked up as necessary, and then you call for the dentist. Hygiene check with the dentist who reviews findings and images with the patient in prep for any treatment plan. Complex findings require to reschedule to review a treatment plan, to discuss options, to make the arrangements, to get them the credit they need if needed. Again, prove this all to yourself and do a 2-week time audit. This really is the best way to go about that. Color-coding tray setups makes things a lot easier. I'm always kind of amazed at how many practices are still not doing this. This enables you to have your next morning's trays ready to go. You can do the same thing again in the afternoon before the afternoon schedule. And you should have one more and larger autoclave than you think you need. You can customize your own tray setups for your specialty. There are far more colors and types of trays available. And of course, there's autoclavable trays where you can put the instruments right inside them. And you can use color-coded or number-coded tabs on the outside. Whatever works for you. Same thing with your instrument bags. Color or number code them. The link here, that goes to a detailed tray and instrument bag color coding guide from the Center for Health and Healthcare in Schools from the George Washington University. It's really, really helpful. So now let's talk about your team. Efficiency requires commitment, and a team requires commitment on an individual basis, as well as collectively. You are hopefully a team and not the queen bee of a board collective. A collective without individual commitment and encouragement of individual thought and expression, that's not a team. Create a team by creating committed individuals. To create a team, you need to do these things. You need to talk, but you also need to listen. You need to elevate them. You allow for a budget to continually educate and thus elevate your staff, preferably as the team you are, including the dentist and all clinical and admin staff. Look for annual conferences that you can all attend and learn from. Encourage clinicians to attend administrative focus parts of the conference and vice versa. Alleviate. Cross-training is key to alleviating stress in any business. Maintain by honoring the 3 tools to an effective team above that we just reviewed. You honor those, you enable yourself to maintain a team. If you do not talk, elevate, and alleviate, you're not fostering commitment of the individual and cannot build, let alone maintain, your team. Payroll. How efficiently managed is your payroll? This really is a pretty simple thing, and it comes down to this. If you have more people up at your front desk than those who are producing dentistry, you're overstaffed. Now that includes the dentists and the hygienists when you're looking at those numbers. but I'm amazed at how many practices I'll walk into with 2 dentists, 4 hygienists, and 6 people working in the front office. That's just not necessary, especially if you're automated and digital and all of that. Those are salaries you don't need on your payroll. Have a look at your lab costs. Just like your patient, it's likely that you get what you pay for. A 10 to 15% overhead for lab expenses is nothing to sneeze at, and yet it's the norm. The larger the aesthetic practice, the higher that percentage goes. Lab costs can be negotiated, though, for a discount based on volume especially. Thus, loyalty can pay. Loyalty can also result in a more efficient turnaround time for a product that is done once and done right. So if you're using multiple labs, you may really want to reconsider that. Communication, leadership, and accountability. Now, this is something that we all learned in professional communications classes or coaching if we've had it back in the undergrad days when you were taking English and communications and lecturing and stuff like that, and you had to public speak. And these are the things that basically you learn. The communication skills that are demonstrated by you, the leadership in your business, sets the tone for communication practices among your team overall. And here's the gist of good communication. While you're talking, observe your listener, team or patient, and make eye contact. Take a deep breath if you need to, but keep breathing, smile, and try not to be wordy. Listen to their response. Keep smiling, keep making eye contact, and think before you speak. Respond calmly, purposefully, and respectfully, and again, try not to be wordy. Communication is so important, especially with the patient. God knows we've all witnessed something this silly. Don't ever assume the patient knows what you're talking about unless you've talked about it about 7 times and they've repeated it back to you, what you've said, correctly. And even then, don't assume. So let's go into leadership. There's 3 kinds of, we'll say, heads of teams, but hopefully you're only one. The dictator is imposing, abusive, deaf, and blind. The owner-boss exudes a sense of ownership and the prerogatives which accompany it, but the leader transforms everyone into a positive, smoothly operating, yet independently thinking and expressive, efficient team. Again, it's all about team. Accountability. You do these things and you'll have the commitment to efficiency that we talked about earlier. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Be reliable. Respect your own commitment and that of the individuals on your team. Be responsible. Don't point fingers, at least not publicly. Create an environment where mistakes are used as learning opportunities. Remember to praise in public and criticize in private. Now, if you think you and your team are struggling, commit to empower them to succeed with leadership, accountability, and communications coaching as a part of your team building effort. How do you do that? You contact someone like Suzanne Robinson. Suzanne specializes in coaching you and your team with regard to leadership, communications, and accountability. I've seen her do absolute magic in some practices. Now, having said that, she's an all-around dental practice management consultant, much like myself, but she really has some core strengths, and team leadership, communications, and accountability are definitely up there among her real strengths. She's located in Arizona. She travels all over the country. You'll find her on Dentaltown, Facebook. I don't think she's on Twitter to follow, but she's everywhere. She's out there, and that's her contact information should you need it. Let's talk about study clubs. Now, in the world of the internet, it almost I hear dentists just laughing about study clubs anymore, and yet I wonder why. Yeah, we rely today so much on the conveniences of the internet with Dentaltown, groups in Facebook, LinkedIn, but there remains something to be said for meeting up in person, presenting case studies to share and discuss, and the resulting supportive network that you build among your local peers, not to mention the potential referral base and the friendships that can result. Whatever you do, find one that suits you and participate. They serve many purposes, including sharpening your business and personal skills, expanding your clinical knowledge and skills, which helps you keep more work in-house and referring out less, sharing active case studies from which to learn, providing access to honest feedback, advice, and brainstorming, and building that support network. The link here is to a short read on what a supportive study club group can deliver for your most difficult cases. In this case, the case of my dear friend and former world champion golf trickster and USPGA golf pro, Ben Witter. I really encourage you to read that. Now here's a list of all the green resource links that I used earlier in that section. You'll be able to go back on the Dental Ease website after today's presentation, where they're going to make this, I think, permanently available, if not long-term available for you, so that you can check out all these links that you want. You'll be able to go slide by slide so that you can find exactly the information that you wanted and the link that was connected to it. So that will be there for you. And then all the other links that I have on the various slides are here for you. I think I put them in order. Honestly, I don't remember. But they're all there. You don't necessarily have to go back through each slide. And I wanted to just share with you a few more people who kicked in for this presentation. They're wonderful people, extremely knowledgeable, helpful, and always looking to be helpful as well. All of these people are active on Facebook and in the most popular Facebook groups. Very friendly, jovial atmosphere in Facebook. I think a lot of them are also on Dentaltown. Facebook, though, it's much smaller, much easier to get to know people. I find the helpfulness aspect of one another much more positive on Facebook. This is Warren Babinski. He is a rep for Henry Schein, and he also has a blog, dmdrep.com. He has been in the world for a long time. His father was a dentist. He's been in the dental world himself for a long time. I think his twin brother is too. Extremely knowledgeable. I invite you to check out his blog. Dr. Marty Jablow also kicked into some of the suggestions here in this presentation. He has a couple different blogs here, very informative. Everything from Chartlist to technology. He's big on technology. He also has a practice in New Jersey. Here's Kevin Henry. I'm pretty sure you probably know who Kevin is. He used to be with Penwell Dental Economics and the Dental IQ website, the forum there. He's now with Advanced Star Communications as their editorial director. He's always looking for good articles, so please hit him up if you have any articles for his publication. Dr. Rich Hershinger, he's out in Beverly Hills, California. He used to own DDS.com, a website development firm for dentists. They produced fabulous websites. But he also very quietly recently did a two-year residency in orofacial pain while simultaneously running his website business, and has just recently opened up his practice in Beverly Hills, and it's already thriving. Think about if you're referring patients off to neuromuscular, you may also want to consider orofacial pain and give him a call and see what he might be able to do for patients, or what he might even be able to do for you over the phone in helping you with your patients. He's an extremely helpful fellow, always willing to share his knowledge. He does still go around and speak on dental office websites and social media marketing. He does that now through Offsite that bought his DDS.com business, and he always throws in some information on orofacial pain as well, so he's a very interesting guy. Dr. Ritu Rao in Dallas, Texas. She's also chipped in quite a bit of information here. She also has a blog, Busy Tooth Mommy. And when she's not practicing dentistry or blogging, she's usually preparing for the next marathon.